and triumphant success, making his legacy a powerful example of resilience and hope for future generations.
My father was born in colonial Kenya and dispossessed of land and all their wealth by white settlers and exiled from home. Young Ichung'wah was not lucky, as he also lost his mother at a tender age, and he learned to fend for himself at an early age, childhood. When he was a young boy, my dad got ill from a strange illness, and he used to tell us that at that particular time, because there was no modern medicine and there were no hospitals, the practice was that you be left in the thickets or the forest or the bushes to be eaten by wild animals. And that is exactly what they did. They went and left him somewhere in the bushes to be eaten by wild animals. His brother, his elder brother, would go and check on him, listen to his pulse, then go and report to my grandfather that even if you guys threw Ichung'wah to be eaten, he hasn't died yet. And my grandfather authorized that they go and bring him back, and he was brought back, he recovered, and the next time my dad got ill was when he was 101 years old.
As a child without a mother and as he struggled through life, Mzee told us of instances where the family faced starvation, and having seen his dead mother sleeping peacefully, he would often wish he would die and pray to God to give him peace of death instead of the biting pangs of hunger that he often suffered. He would tell us that he wished to die and join his mother Wanjiro, not because he understood what death really meant, but because he wanted to escape the punishing pain of hunger. As a young man, Mzee struggled to eke a living. He moved from Kipkelion in search of employment and went to Kapsabet, where he was employed as a driver in the tea farms. However, like his parents, he later lost everything he worked for after being driven out by colonialists. He was forcefully resettled in a colonial village in Kikuyu, then known as Geshagi Naba Idato, concentration camp number 3, here in Kekambura during the state of emergency. But luckily, he did not leave Kapsabet with absolutely nothing, because he got himself a new bride as a second wife, having agreed with his first wife, the late Rahab Wajiko Ichung'wah. That new bride is no other than our beloved mother, Mary Mombi, who is now blessed to be 85 years of age. And now with 2 wives and a family, the young Ichung'wah quickly had to reestablish himself, and he got a job at the Alliance High School as a driver and later ventured into business. His first business or hustle was vending cigarettes on a bicycle, and he became so committed at his work that he was later appointed as a BAT distributor when he started his first retail shop at Gekabura Shopping Center.
His business life and firm belief in God. Mzee was baptized on 24th December 1972 in Thogoto Parish by Right Reverend Justus Kuria Wahuria, and was at the time of his demise a full member of the church. He confidently spoke about his blessings, and he would share a story about how God blessed him through a strange animal. One day while he was herding his father's goats, he heard a roaring sound coming from the skies. He looked up, there was no rain, and a strange creature fell to the ground from the skies. He had never seen such a creature. According to him, it was pitch black with shimmering bright eyes, and my dad was scared. He looked at this creature. The creature looked back at him, and he was scared, shooed away his animals, and went home. According to Mzee, that creature had been sent by God to bless him. As he continued to struggle in life, he told us that there was a time he was arrested for possessing a 100-shilling note during the colonial times, because it was unheard of for an African to have that kind of money at that particular time.
Mzee would later diversify from his retail business and venture into the meat industry. He established a very successful butchery and also established the first abattoir in Kikuyu town at Makutano. His knowledge of meat was so profound that he was able to tell an animal that had sickness just by looking at its blood or throwing a small piece of its meat into the fire. It is through his businesses as a meat supplier that he met with the late former president, Daniel Arap Moi. He would quickly earn the president's trust to the extent that he started getting livestock from his farms on credit. And owing to his honesty and